Hi everyone, Christopher Ludwig here, and welcome back to Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Live. On time and ready to go, tech-free, error-free for everyone. So it's great to have you all with us. Today, in this session, we're going to be talking more about digitalization of finished vehicle logistics, and in particular, looking into quality management, including damage and claim systems. So, as we've discussed through the conference so far, we know that there are many processes within the vehicle logistics chain, which can still be manual, in some cases non-standard, which can lead obviously to a number of inefficiencies. And quality and damage claims has traditionally been one of those areas. But one car maker that has actively developed new processes and systems to address this is Daimler. And here to talk about it with us today is Monica Schmickler. Monica, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Chris. Hello.
Yeah. Monica is Head of Strategy, Purchasing and Quality for Worldwide Transport Logistics at Daimler. She plays a key role in the global logistics network, and over her time at Daimler has had a variety of leadership roles in procurement and supply chain, including R&D purchasing and, of course, vehicle logistics. So, Monica, it's great to have you here. We're going to have a presentation from you on this new system, and we'll have some time for questions at the end. And then just a reminder to our audience that after this session, we'll also have a finished vehicle logistics panel, which Monica will join as well. So we'll have plenty of time to get through some questions. So, but for now, Monica, over to you.
Thank you, Chris, again, also for this warm welcome to your conference. And I'm very happy to be here today. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a great session so far. And I'm even more happy to share now with you some insights from our Daimler world of quality management in the supply chain of finished vehicles. As Chris introduced me, I'm today responsible not only for the procurement of transportation services in our organization, but also for a tool called Q.DOME, which we introduced in order to assess the quality of our finished vehicles. Daimler's goal is to delight his customers with the new products which are going to be delivered in a perfect way to their destination. And therefore, we work, next please, we work with a lot of partners along sometimes very long supply chains. And therefore, many clever minds and hands are working to ship the vehicles in the safest way possible. Since 2019, we have installed this system, QDOME, a tool which allows damages to be detected, traced, and handled accordingly and quickly. And this saves not only time, but also money, and contributes to the fact that we get some transparency about where, by whom, and why a damage has occurred. Next. So what is QDOME? QDOME is a system which we have developed in order to handle these damages, because unfortunately, they occur. And having these long transportation chains in our worldwide system, it is a major challenge for us as a car manufacturers, but I propose for every car manufacturer to stop and see where this damage occur, and of course to deal with them. Until now, these damages were recorded manually by our logistics service providers. They were putting them on their bills of lading. Also, our auditors who work with us closely in the supply chain and check the quality were documenting these damages at the terminals with digital cameras. And it was a purely manual process where vehicle data was stored and, of course, combined with these damages. Therefore, the damage sometimes was very difficult to identify, and it took time to, of course, to extract the data, to work with this data, and therefore, at the end, the mitigation of the damage took far too long. So with QDOME now, we would like to have this, and you see it here on my slide, this 3-pillar method in order to, of one hand, to have a mobile damage detection and liability notice. Then, of course, to have a proper and sound base for repair cost reimbursement. And thirdly, and from my point of view, most important, to have reporting and measurement steering in order to mitigate future damages. Next. So when we come to the targets, it's not only a system to ensure a worldwide product quality for our vehicles in the distribution and to minimize protection and repair. Of course, we are also looking at our dealers to increase their satisfaction because they are being provided with flawless cars. We reduce the lead time because maybe reparations are not needed anymore. And therefore, we create also a high quality awareness among our partners. Then, of course, the second target already mentioned, but this will be also a point to be discussed further on, the administration efficiency, the digitization of our processes, becoming paperless, leaving behind the red tapeism, and providing the transparency in the whole chain. And of course, the third pillar or target to attain operational efficiency, to optimize balances and costs for the damage repair, to support successful the recourse of our activities, and of course also to allocate resources from the root cause and to focus the quality initiatives accordingly. And therefore, this mobile detection of vehicle damage is now part of an existing software solution, which was adapted to the requirements of the Daimler finished vehicles particularities. And we have developed together with an agile project team, not only an app for Android and iOS, but also a web app. So subsequently, QDOME was born. And here we have vehicle damage in combination with the vehicle identification number, which can now be detected mobile in real time during the transportation. This data is being passed on to a back-end system, stored there in the database, and of course, ready for further big data analysis. Next. Yes, the potentials of the tool are multiple. Using this big data also helps us get information for the future in order to mitigate damages at our new vehicles. The data is being transmitted directly to the damage adjuster and also to the freight forwarders, because in the process they are being asked to comment on the damage. This also gives us insight where we can repair the process, or also through training or adapting our operations manual, which is, as I call it, a Bible for our logistics providers to update it accordingly. In the end, this enables a transparent supply chain. It reduces process costs, of course, in the claims processing, and increases the success rates for recourse claims. The potentials are, of course, we had brainstorming sessions and also roundtables with parties involved in order also to ensure the success of this tool. But now, as we use the tool, the potentials are getting real, And yeah, we don't, as we say here, we don't whine a minute for the old systems we had, actually the paper workflow. If we look at the tool itself, and here on the next slide, I wanted to give you a glance about, yeah, I know it's maybe hard to look at, but it's just to give you a glance about the app itself, the damage entry. Of course, we have a liability workflow, and which is the base then for the claim management. And in the end, we are producing a lot of data, which is really being used on information, on getting information for the node, for the respective transportation part in the supply chain, also for the part of the vehicle which is being damaged. And we really extract a lot of insights and learnings and work with this data. We have a big team sitting offshore, helping us with the management of this data. We also have, before that, a team eliminating the doublets, I mean the mistakes from the data, in order to make sure that we have a proper database. It was also learning that this measure had to be implemented in order to have the sound base for our quality work. So this now takes me almost at the end of my presentation here, namely to summarize again, QDOME, the QDOME app is an app for all users involved in our supply chain for the transportation of finished vehicles, from the production plant to the dealers, in order to identify the damages and subsequently also mitigate them by proper activities, like where necessary, the introduction of a product protection. But for us, it's also important that this new QDOME tool is closing our quality circle. We've had a lot of activities around the quality issues, starting with the operations manual, as I call it, the Bible for our partners in the chain, which indicate what activities to be done in order to transport the car to its destination in the best way possible. But with QDOME, we are getting now the transparency throughout the circle, from the definition of the standardization of our activities when it comes to quality checks at the gate, in the process. Also, as I said, these operational instructions from the manual. Then, of course, the second step, the measurement, or also the transparency which we get regarding the detection, a real-time detection, which can be addressed. Then, thirdly, the analysis, and in the next step of also the forecast for the future. Working here, of course, with numbers of damages per lane or per car in the transportation chain, and of course the fourth step, the improvement. And we've been now working with the system for a couple of months. It's, as I said, we are really happy to have it. And I would like to close my short presentation with a saying of Calvin, who stated that you can only improve what you can measure. And we are really happy that we have this tool. And I hope that I gave you some insights about our process, our tool, and also some food for thought for your organization and your supply chain. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Monica. Some great insight there. Oh, got a bit of an echo on the line there. I think it'll sort it out. I think a great case study there in real life digitalization of a key process in the finished vehicle logistics chain, with some real results there as well. As you mentioned, we've got a bit of time for questions, and one place I thought would be good to start is in the kind of implementation of this, because as you mentioned, it's global. I think so. Get a sense of how widely it's rolled out, and can you talk a bit about what some of the success factors and/or challenges have been in that rollout?
Yeah, certainly. We rolled it out mainly in Europe first. First in Germany being our biggest market here in Europe. And in the project itself, we have involved at an early stage the stakeholder, representatives from the sales organization, from our logistics provider, of course, from the dealers, and had roundtables with them. And parallel to the, as I mentioned, this agile IT programming of the app and of the solution itself, we also prepared training documentation, some films. We had also roadshows. In those times, and I had a big. We had a reunion with our top performers from our LSPs. We had the case studies on Q.DOME already. It was in the early stage, but it was very useful to show it to our partners and also to announce it, and successfully also to get some feedback from them and some good ideas, which we already also implemented. So training was one of the success factors, and also the involvement of the stakeholder. But as with every system, and I think everybody would agree, the third important success factor is the fact that we have first, second, and third level for support of our users. Because of course, when you roll out a new system, you have bugs maybe, which we haven't overlooked, but also we have questions, we have new users coming on board, and we have simple questions, but also more intricate. So this user model worked well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, bugs with tech, I couldn't imagine that ever happens. These things always go so flawlessly with these implementations. Monica, there was, obviously you talked about in the presentation that this was an automation of a number of processes and things, but I thought, can you just give us a sense of some of the key processes that were kind of assisted along the way and automated here? What are some of the gains that you've seen there?
I would say that the biggest gain is that we replaced paper by a digital, not only process, but also a solution. The fact that we have this real-time detection and we don't have a backlog, and when you get the call from the dealer who is unhappy with his damaged car. So this was really the main point, gaining speed in the process, of course, reducing costs, and getting this transparency A to Z in the supply chain, from the plant to the dealer, and working with this data. I know that it's more or less a buzzword now, AI and IoT, but in this case, it has shown really profitable to us to have this data at hand and to work with it, also to customize the product protection, going away from a full body cover, for example, to a partially cover. It's also a sustainable issue, what you do with this cover at the end. It's okay, if you need only a couple of it and not the whole. So all in all, this was the key the key elements of the novelty of the tool.
Absolutely, and you that data side, and you're right. Okay, everybody talks about getting data and big data. However, what I love about this system is the that it's concrete, that you can probably really see things that you can act on, and make some real improvements and results based on that data. You just named a couple there, I think, as well, about maybe changing the protection methods, etc. But yeah, I was kind of keen to hear about if there's any interesting results or changes that have come out of those of the data so far.
There are, but I don't want to share them here so openly. Maybe in a one-to-one discussion. When we talk about damages, it's a car, and as you know, we have big cars usually, and also the transportation equipment has its limits, and of course we have challenges there sometimes, and therefore it's very important to have a close look at what damage occurred where and by whom, and is it something which we could, for example, repair as a damage at our place, or is it an issue of training or of the use of a different equipment? Sorry. So it's a multi-phased aspect. Yeah. And this makes it so, of course, complex on one side, but in the solution finding, now I have a broader base of data which I can use to extract what I need.
Absolutely.
And it is really fun to work with it, and and for example, now really giving an example, when we have market launches, and you don't, of course, you do trials before you start your transportation activity of a new car, but the real trial are these first cars which go to the dealerships to be shown to our new customer, and of course these cars must arrive there in the perfect shape and form, and extracting information from this process, which then was applied to the serious process, was really very, very valuable.
Fantastic. So one of the things when we talk about improving visibility, real-time visibility in finished vehicle logistics, increasingly we look at some of the telematics data coming from the vehicle, the connected car aspects. Do you see more scope for that technology to play a role here, perhaps in combination with functions of QDOME?
Surely. And QDOME is only a part of a digitized supply chain for finished vehicles. My colleagues in other departments work on the digitization of the whole process, also with the aspects of track and trace. I was now concentrating only on the quality issue, also in combination, for example, with innovation which we had in one of our plants in the US, namely a digital vehicle scanner, where we had a digital assessment of the car before starting the travel from the plant to the dealer, and there, of course, we had the combination of data.
Yeah, absolutely.
Start to the end.
Yeah.
And but of course, there's a lot of potential, and you probably heard this during the conference. Rome wasn't built on a day. Sometimes we wish. I know that COVID had speed up and accelerated the digitization, but sometimes there are really limits.
Yeah.
Especially if you have, like we have, a really intricate worldwide network where we use all kind of, as I shown on my first slide, of transportation modes.
Absolutely. I wanted to turn to, we have a couple of minutes before we go to our next panel, but a couple of questions from audience. The one that's highest voted, now this question is perhaps a bit more on the overall repair process for Daimler and objectives. So let us know if you can answer it. Do you repair the vehicles prior to arrival at the dealer, or is the goal to track the damage and allow the dealer to make the repair?
Actually, both. Depends what kind of damage, and I I think all agreed that the scope or the target is that the customer he gets a perfect car. I mean, perfect hopefully without repairs, but if necessary, a repaired car, and that he gets it at a date which was announced.
Promised. Yeah, absolutely.
Promised. And this is something we do try to avoid. Of course, I mean, you have sometimes accidents which happen, or force majeure, I mean, bigger storms and other things. But when it comes to handling, and I'm really happy that we have good partners with very well-trained drivers who really do a good job. But of course, also during the transportation in the respective nodes, if necessary, we also improve the situation. Yeah.
Fantastic. So the other question from our audience is actually about access to the system. In other words, do the dealers use the same system to track damages, or is it more the Daimler? So I guess giving a sense of that to the dealers as well.
We are rolling. This is a excellent question, because you asked me, one of the first questions was regarding the rollout and the proportion of it. And of course, Rome wasn't built on a day. We haven't rolled out QDOME now in every corner of the world where a Mercedes car is being delivered to, but we are working on it. First, we started with Europe and the big markets. Then we went abroad, overseas, and of course, first to our organization. And now in the second step, we try also to involve step-by-step the dealers. And this is, and maybe also this question has been asked in your system. Of course, it's, I mean, we have adapted a system which comes from a partner to our needs, to our requirements, but we have also identified a couple of markets which already have their own system. So the challenge was to incorporate those systems, or to of course have the interface in order to have a flow for our data and not to lose data because of the different systems. And when it comes to dealers, it's the same story. I mean, to create a big system with all particularities.
So last question. Yeah, I'm just muted. Somebody muted me. I think I know why. Just a last question and then we'll move into our next panel. What would be some key lessons you would take from this project and process and implementation, and maybe that you're looking to apply to other, I'm sure, wider digitalization projects, whether in vehicle logistics or in the supply chain?
Oh, there are multiple, but let me concentrate on three issues. Of course, we were looking for a system, so we had a screening of the van market for the systems, and we tried to choose the best one, and we are still very happy with the selection. Secondly, is of course to set up a good project team with of course agile working methods and involving the necessary stakeholders, and thirdly, also to take into consideration that although it's a digitization project, it's about people. It's about creating a system which is used by people in the field, so to say. And I also like to quote of one of my former colleagues who always said, the worm shouldn't, I mean, the fish should like the worm and not the fisherman. So, yeah, and that's why, of course, we get also feedback to the systems, and we will include that in a further version.
Well, fantastic. It's a great case study. Obviously got lots of interest from our audience. Thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of lessons that we'll apply from there. We're gonna move pretty quickly into our next session, which Monica will be part of. So let's just thank Monica again, and we'll close this session. But everyone, please stick around, because we'll be right back with additional guests.